So welcome everyone to the first ever episode of SpaceING. We are all very excited to be here together, and let me talk about SpaceING a bit before we get into the main topics of today. So SpaceING is a new flagship event from APOSA. SpaceING is focusing more on student side. We are trying to build more inspiration for them and more also maybe some guidance. So in the future, when they graduate, they can also find some opportunities or work in the space field. And the topic of today mainly is space medicine. And we have the very special guest, which will be joining us today and sharing her experience. So are you ready to begin with? Okay, please welcome Miss Florence Pauline Basubas from SGAC Philippines. The floor is yours now.
Hi, so yeah, hello everyone. I wasn't gonna introduce myself, but I'll briefly do that. Can you see my screen? Is it all good?
Yes, it is visible.
It is good. Okay, cool. I'll just like minimize this so nothing is hidden. So yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to the first episode of SpaceING. Congratulations to APOSA for doing this. I think this is really helpful for students. I wish when I was a student we had these type of things because we didn't. But yeah, I titled my basically my talk as a journey of an island girl to space because and you will find out why later. But I'm Florence. I am currently a scientific strategist in Seoul, as well as a master's student in multidisciplinary research focusing on biomedicine in Barcelona. And I am also leading the space medicine group in Asia Pacific and in the Philippines. So yeah, I'll just get started. This will not be all about me. So I wanted this to kind of be engaging as well as a way for everyone to kind of reflect as well on your journey so far and hopefully how you can get to where you want to be in the field of space. So yeah, I just want to begin by asking a few questions. So the very first one is, when you were younger, what did you want to become when you grow up? So I just want to ask everyone to just, randomly put in what you wanted to become when you were younger. Like if you wanted to become an alien, that's fine. No one will know what your answer is. Just like put them down. So, yep. Let's see if there are responses. No one's responded yet. Yeah, you can click on the link in the chat as well, or just go to that link above, or it's not showing the QR code. Interesting. But like everyone just, put in anything. Ooh, someone wants to be a movie star. Doctor. Okay, I'll give like 1 minute left. King of Mars, is that, or? Okay. No more answers. So I guess like almost all of us wanted to be astronauts when we were young. Oh, there's another answer. Anyway, so yeah, when I was young, I also wanted to become an astronaut like you guys. And my next question is related to this actually. So how old were you when you wanted to become an astronaut? Like as far as you can remember, what was your age, Wow, we were all relatively young kids. Okay, 30 seconds. Ooh. We have wow. So almost all of us kind of like wanted to be astronauts when we were, around 10 years old. And just quickly, I am curious to know, like, where do you guys come from? Like, and when we say where we come from, we usually say like some fancy city that is nearest to where we really come from. But I want you to put in like the name of the town or the province or the island, like not like something fancy. Okay. Does everyone? Wow, I do not. I only like recognize 3 of these places. You guys recognize these places? All right. So that was like just a quick exercise for everyone. But yeah, like most of us, I actually come from the middle of nowhere. So I grew up in this island in the Philippines, this like tiny island that is colored red. It's called Cebu, and I'm an island girl. That's why I called the talk, an island girl. And I love like sunsets, I love the seas, I like to go diving, like all that like fun stuff. And yeah, like when you come from a small island, a small town, and you say I want to become an astronaut when you're young, usually people would really be like, oh, like she's just young. Like no one would really believe you saying that, right? So it's really, I guess, all of us might have had a point in our lives where, can we really become astronauts? Like at some point, we kind of realized that it's very impossible, like near to impossible. And yeah, because of that, I'm wondering, like, what are you all doing now? Like, are you doing something related to space? And if you're not, just like write down anything you're doing. Baking, I love baking. Aw, yeah, pasta is awesome. Awesome answer. But yeah, anyways, I think, at some point, a lot of us might have come to a point where we don't really know if we can have a career in space, if we could, even become astronauts in the future. So a lot of us, maybe probably not just me, like had to do a detour on the way there, or like even not a detour, like we basically think that, oh, we're never going to become an astronaut and just, pursue something else. But the thing is, for today's talk, I really just want to like show you that whatever it is you're doing right now, like you can do in space. And there's actually still a way for you to fulfill your childhood dreams of becoming an astronaut, hopefully. And I'm still on my way there too, because like I'm only like kind of junior-ish still. But I hope that this talk will like, inspire you a little and give you tips and you can learn some things. So yeah, basically after wanting to become an astronaut at the age of 6, I got sick with this disease called dengue. I think a lot of you in India, you call it dengue, or like somewhere in, South Asia, you call it dengue. So it's like this disease, viral disease that happens when you get bitten by a mosquito. And from then on, I kind of discovered, oh, I actually like science. So I started working to help find cures for diseases. So I worked in drug discovery for infectious diseases and cancer. These are like photos of me in the lab. And kind of that's how I really like just, tried to deviate away from my childhood dreams of becoming an astronaut, because it's too sad to think that, oh, I might not be able to become an astronaut. But along this way, I actually, like found out, oh, I could like go out to like see museums or like visit like astro or aerospace related like stuff, or like join in activities. So I started doing that. So in my school, we had this organization where we formed this like club or organization for just like my classmates and I to, hang out and talk about space and share about our just our like passion for it, basically. So I would like organize trips for my classmates. So we went to like the museum to see the Philae Rosetta models, and like we also visited like Max Planck institutes and stuff. And then I like volunteered in space organizations in my home country in the Philippines. So I kind of just like slowly tried to, like get involved in space. And then later on, I found out that, oh, I work in medicine right now, but like I also love space. How can I do both? And the thing is, you can actually do both. So I tried to find out like about space medicine, and actually space medicine is one of the most important thing if we want to, colonize outer space, or for now, for example, we want to go back to the moon, right? So it's really important. Astronaut health is really important. Back in the days in the Apollo, a lot of technologies that were developed were really focused on like medical technologies, because astronauts' health were important, for the astronauts to be able to go to space. So basically, space medicine is just applying and developing the medical knowledge, skills, techniques, technologies that we have here on Earth, so that we can maintain health, we can prevent, treat, and diagnose, and most especially prevent diseases when we're in space. So that's what space medicine is, and I'm just gonna go over that briefly as well. So why is it important? Why do we have to care about like space medicine? And the thing is, our bodies are very like used to functioning well here on Earth. And the environment here on Earth is very different from the environment in outer space. And the number one difference really is gravity, right? We're used to 1G, but when we're in outer space, there's microgravity, like it's not 1G. So in the ISS, for example, we have found out, how our body fluids shift, and these has actually caused a lot of problems. Astronauts' health, and when they observed them, they found that like there's increased pressure in their brain, their circulation changes, their cardiovascular system changes as well as their heartbeat. They begin to have bone and muscle loss too because of this fluid shift. And I'm actually involved in a meta-analysis right now, a study for like how potentially this changes in circulation and bone and muscle loss might be related to each other. And another thing is like there's increased eye pressure. So a lot of astronauts are actually suffering from vision loss right now. Like they're just going blind. It's kind of sad, but it's still important for us to like study this, learn this, and develop the space medicine for this. So who are the people that have to be involved? So like, when you think about space medicine, you're probably like, oh, is it just doctors? Like, do I have to be a doctor to be involved in this field? The thing is, you don't have to. So whatever you're doing now, like I saw earlier, someone was like, oh, baking. Well, if you like to bake, we still need like nutritionists, food scientists, like chefs, basically, who can, prepare good food and while still addressing nutrient deficiencies while in outer space. So like space doctors is very kind of straightforward. They diagnose, treat, and prevent diseases. But there are also other people that have to be involved. Space biologists are very important because microbes, actually, they have found while studying them in the ISS, they evolve faster and much more different than how we know here on Earth. So the drugs that we have, like the antibiotics that we have on Earth, might not be effective for like if there's bacteria or viruses that thrive in outer space. So we really have to be careful, and we need like space biologists to prevent these like infectious diseases, not just infectious diseases, other types of diseases too. And then we also need psychologists and psychiatrists, because sleep will be different. Like our time, the day will really be different, and mental health is really challenging for astronauts. So yeah, and we need biomedical engineers as well, because they help develop the drugs, vaccines. As I've shared earlier, drugs don't work the same way on Earth as they do in space. So we need to probably develop new drugs as well. And medical technologists, I will talk more about medical technologies and medical devices, because that's kind of where I'm working right now. Yeah, you need them to operate medical devices, to develop medical devices even, because the medical devices that we can use on Earth might not be the same as what we need in space. Lastly, this is a really emerging field, is data science and AI, artificial intelligence. So we really need these people so that we can utilize health data, so we can continuously monitor health of astronauts or anyone who might want to go to the moon in the next few years. So yeah, I'm just gonna quickly talk about the challenges of medicine in space, and why do we really need all of these people? So right now, even if we've learned so much through the years that astronauts have been going to the ISS, we still really have like limited medical knowledge. And the people who are going there might not be like, experts. They might not be like the doctors, because the doctors don't really go there. So everyone needs to know how to take care of themselves, how to troubleshoot something. If they find out that, oh, they have like maybe some bone or muscle loss, how do they prevent that? How do they treat that? So it's really important for like everything space medicine related to be user friendly. There's also limited resources. So everything has to be sustainable and efficient, because, like you can only bring what you bring on your mission. So when I say sustainable and efficient, maybe like if it's something that needs batteries, like, it has to be long lasting power. Like if you need like electricity to power like a medical device or technology. It's also really difficult, right, to deliver them, because like it's really limited what you can take aboard you in your rocket ship. So it has to be light, compact, durable, and of course safe. Like, it should not be causing any problems, especially fire. So yeah, these are still challenges in medicine. And there are also challenges of medical technology specifically. So usually it's inconvenient because there's like a lot of wires involved. So right now, a lot of engineers and scientists try to develop more wireless technologies. There's also limited medical capacity, because sometimes, like as I've shared, you're not always an expert. Like you have to know about your health, you have to know what to do. That's why it's also really important right now. Everyone's trying to develop automated technologies utilizing AI, for example, so that it's much easier for individuals to just self-manage their health. Lastly is distance. So long term, let's say if we go to the moon or Mars, like, you cannot really evacuate. If there's a medical emergency, you cannot go to an emergency room. You just have to utilize whatever is in there. So yeah. I'm just going to quickly talk about the medical technologies that we have right now. So in the ISS, we have body sensors and monitors. It basically just monitors all the vital signs. So like oxygen, blood pressure, heart rate, skin temperature, etc. There's also a portable ultrasound, which is the main imaging system in the imaging device in the ISS. So they just like use ultrasound for everything, like their chest, lungs, gastro, intestinal organs, their eyes as well. But for the heart, there's specifically a Holter monitor. So this is like an ECG device that measures heart activity. there's for the eyes, there's also optical coherence tomography imaging, which is OCT, which is really important because, as I've shared, there's increased pressure in the eyes. So it's really important right now for astronauts to monitor their eye health. And lastly, is breath analyzer for the respiratory system, because in the, in outer space, there's really limited like resources, like they recycle their oxygen, carbon dioxide to oxygen. So sometimes the CO2 levels are high. Some of the particles, for example, that might not be safe for a respiratory system might be high. So they have to monitor that too. And I just want to quickly share about this problem, of the one I was telling, how all of these things, all these technologies, or like medical devices, or like anything that we develop for space medicine, they have to be long-term and sustainable, because as I've shared, it's a long flight. And not just that, there is actually a lag. So right now, like if there's like an emergency in the ISS, and I'm going to share more about these, like I'm going to share examples of this. There is a lag, but the lag is pretty small. Like it's around like few seconds. So like we can still perform like telesurgery, for example, around like the ISS level, because the lag is just like point something seconds. But in the moon, the lag would be around 1 to 2 seconds. We can still perform telesurgery in that distance. But for Mars, for example, it will be very difficult, because the lag goes up to like 15 to 25 minutes. It's like, if you're from like one side of the world and you're calling your family, like for example, my family is in the Philippines, and our internet connection there is really unstable, and I call them, and like there's like that lag. And just imagine that happening in medicine. That's really serious, because you're dealing with like health, you're dealing with diseases. So you have to be able to develop, as I've shared, all of these technologies that have that will make it easier for astronauts to maintain their health. But then we still have this really important technology that has been developed. It's called telemedicine. So basically, we have like all of the experts here on Earth, right? We have like a variety of doctors, and they actually help in like monitoring, diagnosis, and educating astronauts about their health. And that can still be done, as I've shared, on the moon, and even in Mars, but not for medical emergencies in Mars. So this is really important for like regular routine checkups and having expert care remotely. And I'm going to share an example of this. So how does a medical journey in space look like? It's kind of just the same here on Earth. So it comes from detection, diagnosis, treatment, prognosis to monitoring. So there was this, back in 2020, there was this health risk in space called like deep vein thrombosis. So one astronaut had a blood clot on his like vein around the neck, I think. And this was detected on his like 60th day in the ISS during a routine checkup that was done through telemedicine. So when the flight surgeons like determined, oh, like you might be having this like blood clot, they asked him to just do an ultrasound. Like during his ultrasound exam, they kind of like suspected that there's a blood clot, but he had no pain, he had no symptoms. So, this could have gone like undetected. So like when the flight surgeons found out, they were like, okay, you have to do an ultrasound. So he did an ultrasound wherein there were 2 radiologists here on Earth who were guiding him and interpreting what was going on in the blood clot real time. And that's how they find it was a blood clot in his jugular vein in his neck. So for the treatment, they called in an expert doctor. So that expert doctor was actually like this MD, PhD in a certain university. And they found out, oh, they could use blood thinners first. So they kind of like calculated the risk of taking those because it's not that good as well. And they have to determine the dosage because there's very limited supply of that drug. I mean, the ISS, it has like a full pharmacy, right? It has all of the medicines that you could imagine, but still there's like limited supply of that. So he actually had to like limit and really be careful with his dosage. And And then later on, like the oral drug arrived to the ISS via the resupply during like the 43rd day of his detection of that blood clot, and he was like treated. But still, afterwards, even if he was kind of treated, he was still monitored all the way until he before he was gonna come back to Earth. So in the 47th day, the blood clot like really shrunk over time. He had some blood flow, and after 90 days, like it was all right. He could like land, because if he went back to Earth with that blood clot, he would have probably died, right? And yeah, the blood clot has already disappeared after he landed on Earth. So that was just really interesting. It might seem like small, but it's actually like every single tiny medical related disease or something that might happen in space has to be acted on right away. So you can just see kind of all the meticulous process. So yeah, I talked about like how the journey of medical, treatment from like detection to diagnosis is like in space. So now I'm just gonna kind of go back and wrap this quick talk back. So I haven't really shared, how I like came back to space. So as I've shared, I kind of decided I'm gonna do like biochemistry, biomedicine, and I also did like economics and policy making on the side just because I was interested in it. So like these were like the affiliated my schools for bachelor's and now for master's. And in medicine, I decided to like focus on infectious diseases, cancer, and drug discovery. And then I was like volunteering in like some organizations. So for SEDS, we had a chapter in school, and then for SSCRD, I helped establish the chapter in the Philippines, and now I'm the NPOC for SJC in the Philippines. So as you can see, really, it's about like knowing what you want, finding like where you can have an expertise in what you're doing, and then trying to find your way back into space in terms of, what you're currently interested now, or what are you doing now, or what are you good at? So yeah, and I'm just gonna like quickly share, how you can make space. So firstly, as I've shared, join organizations. It's very important. Just like put yourself out there. And first one on top is like APOSA. You're here in the talk right now. I think the founders are here, so you can like just talk to them about how you can get involved. There might also be like some SEDS chapters in your country, so you can like approach them as well, or SSCRD chapters in your country, or SJC and POCs, or MVA and POCs. So these are just a list of organizations I could think of at the top of my mind that you could join, but like hopefully you can take a look at them later. And then you can also participate in activities, workshop, contests. These ones I listed, I think are for mostly high school students, because when I was in high school, I didn't really know anything about space. Like I kind of gave up on it. So hopefully if there are high school students here, like, you can find how you can get involved. Aside from these organizations, they have a lot of activities. I highly recommend that, you try to just join contests or workshops. And yeah, so I found, my way in space through space medicine. I'm also doing space sustainability right now and space education. But there's really a lot of places where you can, find like what can you do in space. So I just made like a brief list here. And yeah, for the next question, maybe you could just like quickly answer what you would like to be involved in. So yeah, can you see the survey? Are you guys answering it? Oh, you can only respond once. Huh. Sorry, guys. Just gonna wait for a few seconds. You can just like quickly answer if you would like to. But if not, you can like check the list back again later. So yeah, I'm just gonna show you the results maybe quickly. Let's see. Okay. Oh, a lot of people are interested in commercial space. Some interested in space medicine too. So you can feel free to like approach me later on if you're interested in that. And yeah, I think APOSA can help you out as well for all of these other interests. Yeah, and final tips. So as I've shared, take the initiative, put yourself out there, reach out, volunteer, participate in organizations, connect with other people. Like if you see participants right now that you can befriend, you know, just be friends with them, and like you can do things together probably. Persevere. It will not be easy, I tell you, but you know, just try and try. Have a growth mindset. So there's always something for you to learn, and just learn as much as you can. And lastly, teach. When you have gotten a lot of information, when you've gone to like, you know, you've kind of established yourself, also inspire and help others learn. So that way we can just continue helping each other and learning, because that's what space is all about. Like you cannot go alone. You always have to go with other people. You know, we always have to go together. So thank you, everyone. You can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and Twitter. So yeah, I think that's all from me.
Okay, so thank you so much, Florence, for a very amazing talk, and also very inspirational and insightful. So the next session would be from our founder teams. Let me invite Dr. Sindhu, chairman of APOSA, so she can tell all our participants about like what APOSA is, what APOSA do, and what is our goal. Dr. Sindhu, please.
Thank you so much. And Florence, that was really mind-blowing presentation. I have never come across such an interesting presentation on space medicine, honestly. And it looks like very interesting topic to read as well. So go check it out in all of the literature or the places that Florence shared. And to quickly give an introduction about myself, I'm chair and head of research at APOSA. APOSA is Asia Pacific Oceania Space Association. And we are a multinational team of young professionals. And what we are trying to do is to create a platform for the regional space community, for all of us to come together and talk like this. You know, we are all a bunch of friends, so feel free to approach us anytime for anything. And just to briefly give you an idea about different kinds of teams that we have. Space Mercs is our media channel. They host audio-video podcasts and also bring experts on live sessions to interact with the community. So research team looks into law, policy, technology aspects specific to AP region, and also organize Sandbox, which is one of the flagship events, just like SpaceING is. It's a multidisciplinary design thinking workshop. And there is PR and marketing team responsible for all the beautiful posters and things that you see on our social media, and they are responsible for the social media engagements. And there is student outreach team, which is organizing this specific event, SpaceING, and they are responsible for bringing the students together, make a place for them safe place for them to network, and also establish strategic relationships with universities and schools, and also host this event, right? So if you are interested to join in any of those teams, or if you have your own idea that you want to explore, please feel free to drop a message to any of the organizers. We'll be happy to help you out. And with that, I will conclude the short note, and back to B.
Okay, so we can stop the recording now, and then let's move on to the interactive session.